skill of a certification. In most cases, when companies hire you or when a client is looking for even a freelance developer, they don't tend to inquire about whether you have the degree or not. My friend and I at the time invented a smart meter system that was able to monitor the whole power consumption of the house. And we were lucky enough to have won the national award, and we represented the country abroad in Dublin. But most people who never interacted with code, whenever they see a few characters that are not familiar, the curiosity dies. So Python will be a good start. You can use it for website development in terms of Django or other frameworks. Plus, you can use it for backend. So AI is going to affect the field, definitely, that's without a doubt. But I don't think it's going to replace software development in general, because it's a lot more. Development is a lot more than a website.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Welcome to another amazing episode of Mahdi Show. They said coding is the language of the future, and if you don't know how to code, you will miss out big time in the future. In this episode, we are going to talk about software engineering, what it entails, and also the disruption of AI on software engineers at the moment. In this changing world, where we are in the fourth industrial revolution, where there's a lot of disruptions in terms of the technology space, and we have IoT, blockchain technologies, we have AI taking shape, and we have data analytics and big data. We are going to discuss some of these disruptive technologies and how the young people can be part of that disruption. And our guest today, we host one of our young minds who is a software engineer and also an innovator, and he's going to talk more about his innovations. We have Abdurrahman Sheikh. Abdurrahman Sheikh, welcome to Mahdi Show.
Thank you so much.
Who is Abdurrahman Sheikh? A little bit about who is Abdurrahman Sheikh.
Abdurrahman Sheikh is a young gentleman from Wajir North, specifically Bute, who has always been interested in technology. Despite not knowing much when I was younger, I've always been interested in technology. And I had the opportunity to get introduced to IoT at a very young age, back in high school. And this has been my passion for a very long time. And now my profession as a software engineer is my day-to-day life. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about your background, where you schooled, starting from primary school.
So I went to primary school, to a school in Bute called Bute Primary School, where I studied from class 1 to class 8. And I went to high school. I was lucky enough to be a few of the students who performed well back in primary school. And I was lucky to have attended national school in Nakuru High School, where I studied from Form 1 to Form 4. And I had good mentorship. I was introduced to tech at a very young stage and other STEM subjects. My physics teacher back then introduced IoT, and I was able to participate in a few STEM exhibitions, whether it was KSEF and the one that I was most known for at the time, which was Young Scientist of Kenya, where my friend and I at the time invented a smart meter system that was able to monitor the whole power consumption of the house. And we were lucky enough to have won the national award, and we represented the country abroad in Dublin, Ireland. And from that and a few of the events I attended, I was lucky enough to have met other mentors who mentored me and nurtured my passion to pursue the same things that I have loved for a very long time. And I was able to get a scholarship to Strathmore University, where I did computer science. And I've finished computer science since I've graduated from Strathmore University, and I've started my own a consultancy firm with friends, and also a startup where, as someone who is passionate about child safety, I came up with a few products, and I've started a company called Gashan Technologies, where we concentrate on empowering parents and safeguarding young kids.
In a lot of my forums, I normally say degree is just a paper.
Absolutely.
And I get a lot of feedback,
Yeah.
some positive, some negative.
Okay.
Having done computer science at the high school, would you recommend someone to go to university, get a computer science, or go to a school and learn a software engineering course, which is 6 months?
Yeah.
Let's try to compare. Was that journey worth the 4 years? It was 4 years, right?
4 years, absolutely.
Was the 4 years of computer science worth your time? Or for someone like who comes straight from Form 4,
Yes.
goes to a software engineering school, does 6 months of backend and frontend?
Absolutely.
Can you compare those two in terms of the market, in terms of employability?
Yeah.
Can you compare those two?
Sure. Actually, I will introduce a third team. These are the self-taught developers as well, who didn't even go for the short course. They have learned the skills on their own.
And it's possible.
It's possible. Actually, there's a lot of. I've met a few software engineers at professional events, or even I've worked with some who are entirely self-taught. So the group self-taught, some who have went to a short course, as you have said, and the 4 years degree. At the end of the day, if you look at the productivity and in terms of what they have done, it's the same. It's at the end of the day, they are all software engineers who are well capable of doing the same things, of developing the same softwares.
So why do I need 4 years while I can do it in 6 months and do the same thing?
The same thing, absolutely. So if you're not pursuing academia, for example, you're not going for the long route of becoming a doctor in a specific tech niche or tech category or whatever it might be, it's not necessary. It's not necessary to go for
At least I have a backup now.
Absolutely.
With my argument.
Yes.
I get a lot of
pushback.
Yeah.
The Imam Humble Integrated Academy is a new academic center offering both the recommended Ministry of Education system as well as the religious studies. The school is located at Barwako village in Wajir County and plan to shape the status of education sector in the region. New modern institution, fully registered by Ministry of Education, well-designed classroom, cool environment, reliable transport, well-trained security guards with CCTV cameras, well-trained teachers, clean water, computer lab, high-speed 4G internet, clean washrooms, an ablution center, and whiteboard for teaching. During the break time, the pupils enjoy tea with milk as well as the porridge. The school is implementing the new system of education, CBC, special assigned teachers only dealing with the memorization of the Holy Quran and the teaching of the Arabic language. Imam Humble Integrated Academy, we confirm that it's well equipped to ensure learners successfully conquer what it takes in learning.
It's like, if degree is just a paper, why don't you go and print it? And I said, and I need to clarify this to the audience.
Yeah.
When I say degree, I'm talking about the tech part.
Yeah.
Degree in tech, and also these other courses,
And a
small
few
courses.
other,
But
yeah.
also, there are courses that you can do without. We have a degree. You need a degree. For example, if you want to venture to the health sector,
Yeah.
for you to become a doctor,
Yeah.
or for you to become maybe a specialist in terms of the health sector.
Yeah.
I think we need them to go to school properly. But I'm talking about those courses that all the graduates are jobless right now as we speak.
Yeah.
And specifically where I'm talking about degrees, I normally talk about the tech part.
Yeah.
Not only tech, but those degrees in the business side, in the social development side. So those are the kind of degrees I normally talk about, but not the health ones. So now I think it's a good thing that you have, after going for 4 years of computer science, now you're telling me that the same way I believed,
absolutely, I agree,
that someone who did a short course or self-taught can do the same thing without paying fees, without waking up very early in the morning for 4 years, and the productivity will be the same.
Maybe if, sorry to interrupt, but
Yeah.
maybe even better.
Even
if,
better.
If the person is
Yeah.
motivated
Yes.
and has had the right environment where
Yes.
he's learned these skills, he or she has learned these skills,
Yes.
they could be better than someone who has attended 4 years of traditional degree, and maybe they didn't pay attention to what was being taught.
I like that, and the beauty about it is someone who have self-taught, or the short course will be taught something that is relevant with the job demand by the job market.
Absolutely.
Unlike the 4 years of computer science, whereby you'll be taught there's a curriculum which I don't know how often do they curate or they update,
Yeah.
but I don't think 4 years is not worth of your time. Back to our question now.
Yes.
Can you compare between having a degree or having certifications and having a skill? Which will you recommend?
Skill over certification. In most cases, when companies hire you or when a client is looking for even a freelance developer, they don't tend to inquire about whether you have the degree or not. People tend to see for themselves what you can do. In the context of companies hiring, you're always given skill tests where you're able to portray what you can do. And in the context of clients hiring a freelance developer, they will want to see what you have developed before they even pay sometimes. So skill over certification, I would go for skill.
Thank you. What does it take to be a software engineer?
Anybody could be a software engineer, first of all. And it's a very big field where you can learn variety of tools and software development tools, or languages as we call it. And so long as you're somebody who is willing to learn, who's willing to adapt to situations, I think you're good enough to be a developer, software engineer.
What is the minimum level of education do I need to be a software engineer?
So this depends on whether you're going for self-taught or even the certification route, or whether you're going for degree. Because then the regulations in terms of the requirement for a course come into play. So if it's going for a computer science course or computer science related courses like software engineering course, C+ will be the minimum for a degree. That is also in math, one of the languages. I'm not sure, but I think physics as well. But if you're going for skill, your performance in high school doesn't really matter. So you could go for a short course where you do the short course and they might not require your performance from high school, or you could do self-taught route where you learn from either mentorship or from online. A lot of people have learned the skills from the online. So you can learn from Udemy, you can learn from YouTube tutorials, you can learn from some websites that offer courses. So in that situation, it doesn't really matter what your grade is.
Is it possible to learn on your own?
Absolutely.
Without going to classroom? Absolutely. And what does it require in terms of discipline, in terms of dedication? Because I believe there must be some level of discipline and dedication.
Absolutely, and it's always harder when you're doing something alone.
Yeah.
So you have to be dedicated. You have to have some resilience, because at times when you're even as a taught software developer who went to school, sometimes you're forced to learn a few technologies on your own because it's not part of the curriculum. And in my experience, I've learned that you need to be very resilient, because sometimes it feels like too much. Maybe understanding certain topics is a bit hard. Maybe the topics are a bit too wide, and you don't know where to start. You don't know the prerequisites. So it is a difficult thing, but it's possible.
I want you to take us through. Assume I just finished Form 4. Regardless of the grade I got, and I want to go to software engineering.
Yes.
I got my results, regardless of whether I passed or not. Take me through. Let's not go through. Maybe you can give us one way of going to the university, and the other way, and maybe the kind of the language, program language, which is friendly
Yeah.
that they can start with.
Yeah.
Take us through. After Form 4, if I want to be a software engineer, what is the first step I should take after my results?
Good. So all you need will be a computer. This could be a laptop computer or a desktop computer. That in most cases is powerful enough, because sometimes you could have access to the computer, but it's an old computer and it might not be able to work for you. And then it depends on the route you're going from there. So if you're going for the school route, and you need maybe to prepare before you even start classes, YouTube will be a good start. There's a lot of tutorials on YouTube. If you're going for the self-taught route, there's a lot of guidelines, or there's a lot of videos actually on YouTube, where people who have went through the same experience have documented their experience, have documented what they had to do and what they think is the best way to approach the learning a specific software. Yeah? In terms of the question that you have asked me, the most friendly, that will be Python. Python is the most beginner-friendly language to learn, and it's also a good start, because once you learn and you perfect the use of a specific languages, you are able to transfer the same skills to different languages. So now learning becomes much easier. So Python will be a good start, and also it's a language where you can use with a lot of things. You can use it for software development. You can use it for website development in terms of Django or other frameworks. Plus, you can use it for backend. So it could be you develop an API backend system with Python. It's used for AI development as well. So it's a very vast language.
Here, I'm not hearing about digital skills before you start.
Yeah.
For example, I believe in our schools that we don't introduce learners to digital skills, because we don't have computer labs in most of our schools. And we have a culture of, especially in our region, whereby every time the results are out, the graduates or the students go for computer packages. Is that the way? Because I've not heard you talking about, before you start coding, you must have a digital skill, digital literacy, because you need to identify the operation systems.
Absolutely.
You need to able to recognize the specifications of your computers, and also Microsoft Word and Microsoft Office, basically. If you want to use a Word, Excel, and Excel. So I'm not hearing about that. What's happening?
It's okay, in my opinion, it's not necessary to go for computer packages.
So they can code from high school, directly go to coding.
Right from the beginning, because once you have access to a computer, you're willing to explore. Learning these basic operations of a computer is not necessarily something you need to pay a cost for. So you could just play around, and once you're comfortable enough, then you can start learning the languages. So that would be a first step, realistically. So you could play around, and then the other option, if you have somebody who has maybe at home who has used a computer, then they can show you around. So it's not necessary that you go for computer packages. The biggest issue that we have, especially from our region, will be now access. So the access itself is an issue. Most kids are not fortunate enough to have access to a computer at a young age, and that will be the best time to actually learn. And view it from the perspective of a phone. Nobody ever goes for computer packages to learn how to use a phone.
How to operate the phone.
Exactly. So once you have access to it, it becomes easy.
In software engineering, we have backend, frontend, we have UX, UI. Can you try to explain, and also what they're able to accomplish? We have others who do mobile apps, others who do websites, others do other systems. Try to explain what are the different kind of how do I put it, specialization. Once you are a software engineer, you're just maybe a general. So try to explain
the different
to the audience.
So for a beginner, I will advise them not to worry about the fields, and not even to worry about picking a specific one, because as you're learning, you tend to learn something from each, and later on you choose whichever you're comfortable with. But for the different fields. Backend will be the things that a user doesn't see. So this could be the database, it could be the server. Infrastructure still counts as a backend. It could be the API system that has been developed. So the code that the user doesn't interact with or doesn't see usually is what backend developers deal with.
Which language is good for backend?
So Java will be a good one. Python itself is a good one. So in terms of language, community support, because different languages tend to have communal support where people develop dependencies for things that don't exist, or such as basically support each other. So it depends on what you're comfortable with. Each has the capability of being used, but there's some that are preferred. For example, Java is preferred especially for fintech development. Python is a good one and has a very large community. C++ is used also. So it's there's a wide variety of languages you could choose. As for front-end development, now this is the user experience side and what the user gets to see or what the user gets to interact with. So if it's a website, this will be the card or the buttons that you interact with. And there's some guidelines on how they're supposed to be developed or what is the best approach. And these are the things that front-end developers usually learn and implement. So there's the other aspect, which will be also networking. So this will be the communication from a device to device. Yeah. So
which language is the best for front-end users?
So front-end, there's a few libraries. So for a basic front-end, HTML, CSS will be traditionally what has been used. Nowadays, there's a few libraries that actually many, but some are preferred that are used. So HTML, CSS will be what I would recommend for beginners, but for advanced or intermediate developers, this will be React. This will be there's a few other libraries that you can use as well. So you can also develop with Django, which is a framework used by Python. You can develop some front end using a few libraries, so Bootstrap and the like.
What are some of the challenges that software engineers face, and why do people tend to think that software engineering is not for everyone? They tend to say that the software engineering is very hard. So what are some of the challenges and some of the myths of the software engineering industry?
Software engineering, the attitude towards technology, especially in our community, is not a good one. I'm sure you have heard the phrase "galaseme," which is a common phrase that I've heard from a young age. Software engineering is hard, but it's not. Everything to some extent is hard. Also depends on your God-given ability as well. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's hard if you have the right exposure and the mindset and you're passionate about it. But most people who never interacted with code, whenever they see a few characters that are not familiar, the curiosity dies. They're not curious to read through and see if this makes sense. So that is also an issue. The people are scared. They don't know that it could be easy, but they will never know because they're scared of code. So once you get to play around with code, you will actually realize it's not as hard as people make it to be.
What are some of the attributes or some of the habits that for me to be a good software engineer I should have?
So actually a lot of people tend to associate software developers with some sort of nerdy or geeky qualities, which is not true, because as a software developer you will need to interact with users, you will need to interact with clients. So social skills will be the beginning of it all. You should be able to know what your clients want. You should be able to know what your end users want, and with this, unless you're able to interact with them, it's not possible to get this. The other thing will be resilience. Sometimes it could be hard. Maybe there's an issue that you can't point out where the issue is coming from. We call them bugs. So you have your code is misbehaving, but you don't know where the issue is coming from. And nowadays it's become easier, but before AI, you would have to take a few hours, maybe days, to go through the entire code base to figure out what's going on. And for people who are not resilient enough, this is not something they're interested in. So resilience will be another attribute. Hardworking, you should be hardworking. Coding is easy, but also it's something that requires a bit of work. So that will be another attribute that yeah.
For someone who wants to learn on their own without going to a school,
Yeah.
what are some of the resources that is a must for him to have or her to have?
So the good thing is that a lot of the languages, there's something called docs or documentation, where the developers of the languages actually put out resources regarding this particular, particular language. So for example, Python, let's say, if you go to Python documentation, the actual documentation for the language, you'll be able to see a book-like website where you are able to go to each place from beginner to advanced and read through the language. So this will be the recommended. It's also a bit bulky for people who don't like to read, so another alternative will be YouTube. You can watch 18-hour tutorials, you can watch 7-hour tutorials, or even short videos if you cannot pay attention for a very long time. There's a few websites.
You can mention them?
Yeah, so W3 School will be a good one. It has a few, actually multiple languages where you're able to go through each, and they have code examples, they have examples explaining how you can use these, or challenges as well. Programmers will be another one. There's also paid. I wouldn't recommend for someone who is maybe struggling with financial problems, because there's enough free materials online. So there's a few paid, like Udemy will be another one. And you could always find a professional to help you to come up a plan where you're able to work within your means.
Okay. Before we go to your innovation and your startup,
Yeah.
Nowadays with the AI, it's doing a lot of crazy things.
Yeah.
We can see a lot of people with zero coding skills now developing their own website, their own mobile apps, their own graphic posters, their own. So it seems like even people with zero coding skills can now do a lot of projects, which was code-based initially.
Yeah.
So is there a threat for software engineers by this revolution of AI?
So I wouldn't say it's a threat, but there's going to be major changes for software development. You have to be able to use AI as a software developer. There's a few tools that are actually being used by software developers at the moment. So Copilot is a tool developed by GitHub. As I said earlier, sometimes finding out where the specific issue or a bug has been an issue in the past, where you don't get to point out, you don't get to see, or even you could go through the code the whole day, and because you're a human, you go through and sometimes you don't see it. With AI nowadays, it has made it much easier, and it's able to point out within even seconds. So AI is going to affect the field, definitely, that's without a doubt, but I don't think it's going to replace software development in general, because it's a lot more, development is a lot more than a website. Even AI has to be developed itself, so yeah.
Now we come to your startup. Tell us about your startup.
So as I've said earlier, I'm very passionate about child safety. Recently there has been, with the advancements in technology, there has been ease of access in every field, and this also comes with its own cost. So with content, there has been ease of access to pornographic content as well, which kids are not supposed to access. There has been ease of access to games and harmful gambling sites, or among other things, which kids are not supposed to access. And the kids are tech savvy, they have access to the devices. they're able to surf through these websites or applications all day long, but the parents are novice. They don't know anything about the websites. Some don't know how to use the devices to be able to regulate the screen time or even the access to these devices. So I have come up with a few solutions at DNS level filtering of what is browsed in a home network. This is one of the things that we have
Also school network.
piloted. Actually, we piloted at a school, and we are working on a few other advancements where we're able to monitor a child's online activity and advise the parents as well. So among the technological solutions, we also empower parents, and we teach parents on how they're able to handle some of these issues if they arise.
Tell us about that product
Yeah.
which you use for filtering, and you said you already piloted.
Yeah.
What does it do and how does it work?
So this is a device that filters the traffic coming from a home network. So usually how a network works is whenever you search something, in basically a layman's language, when you're looking for something, let's say you're looking for image of XYZ, you go to your phone, you search it, your phone goes directly to the router and goes to Google or whichever sites that you have searched through, and you get the information. So we come in the middle and see, is this device supposed to access this resource? If not, then we block that specific resource. So we are basically acting as a server in the middle that is doing the DNS work, so domain name server as we call it, and it's able to filter, get some devices, access this resource, because maybe it's an adult device and they're trying to access something which is okay, but for a kid's device, we are not supposed to let access to some of the materials online. So we filter through the traffic and figure out which device is able to access this or which device is not able to access. It should not access this.
I think for schools, for parents out there who want to control or even filter at the router level and also at access at the device level, you have two kind of, I think, prohibitions at router level and device level. So if you need a protection for your children, because we are in a very serious times where young children get access to multiple sites which are not supposed to, and at very early age, and it's very rampant. So I think it's the responsibility of our parents and also at school level. If there's device in your home or any kind of device, be it a tablet, be it a phone, we really recommend you do that kind of protection. And if you want maybe the service of Gashan Technologies, we'll put the number on the screen so that you can get in touch with the developer so that we protect our children. One last one, which is one app that you cannot live without,
so
that you always access.
Earlier, I would have said a few, before AI, I would have said a few other applications. But with AI and given that it's one of the apps that I tend to use most, I will have to say either ChatGPT or the other LLM-based applications. Whether it's cloud or AI or ChatGPT, I will have to go with the AI, because with AI you are able to do a lot. You're able to learn a lot as well.
Abdurrahman, in this digital era, we have devices everywhere, at home, at schools, and young children get to access them. And unfortunately, we have very little monitoring on what the young children are accessing.
Yes.
You just see a child in the house at a corner or in his room, but the parents don't know what kind of content they are consuming, and what kind of information they are getting from the internet, which is a very serious times.
Absolutely.
Which is also a very serious case, whereby the young children will be exposed to different kind of content which are not relevant. What are some of the harmful things that if we give a child a device without monitoring what the kind of content they are consuming, what are some of the harmful things that can come from that?
Absolutely. So there's a lot of things here. It could lead to addiction. It could be gambling, online gambling addiction, pornographic addiction, among other addiction to other materials, which kids are not supposed to access. And the problem with the approach with our community has been, instead of looking at this from communal perspective and looking at it as a communal issue, we usually say arurtu ahalawen, which is an issue. And it's not about arurtu ahalawen, it's that the times have changed. So our parenting techniques and
Has
our
to change
parenting
also.
has to change. And instead of putting the blame entirely on the kids, we are supposed to also come up with measures to make sure that these things that have been made easy to access by maybe profit-hungry organizations or whatever it might be, how can we counter them as a community? If you are a chef, how can you counter this? If you are a teacher, how can you counter this? If you are a software developer like me, what can you do to help the community? Which one is one of the issues I'm tackling at the moment. So it's a communal issue, and we are supposed to come together as a community to look at the access of materials, which has been an issue, and maybe not blame the kids for it, because
they have access without monitoring.
They're kids. So it's an issue that we are also supposed, maybe we need to change on how we approach the issue.
Thank you so much, Abdurrahman, for your time, and thank you for the amazing startup. I hope it's going to change a lot of things in our homesteads and also protect our children from accessing harmful content in the internet. If you are intending to venture into software engineering without thinking degree, I would recommend you do 6 months of software engineering. Thank you so much.